What is up, podheads? Back with another episode of the Podioslave podcast. My name is Tony, joined as always by Anthony.
Hey.
And it's time to get paid for our bad behavior.
I love it.
No, that'll make sense in a couple of minutes. We talked to Jackson of Silly Goose, and their Bad Behavior EP is out the day that we're recording, which I don't think we've ever done before. I think, Anthony, you make mention of that in the episode, that we've never talked to an artist the day that their record or EP is out. So that was kind of fun. But yeah, how you doing, man? Oh, shit, I did it.
No, I'm glad you asked, and I'm going to be honest. It's been a rough week for me. I've been sick. And, the voice, as we say, it's the, the radio and podcast, the voice is the moneymaker. Not that we've ever made 1 cent from this.
$0, but yeah.
This is a negative, it's negative, negative gross and negative net. It's definitely negative net. It is that, but that's never what this was about. And it's never what it will be about. But
yeah, it's positive vibes. And that's what we're trying to get here. Yeah.
And yeah, I was actually worried because we did an interview episode earlier this week. You'll figure out what that is in the coming weeks, but I was worried I wouldn't even be able to do those. Just coughing and, my head's on fire and got a fever, not sleeping. And as we always say, the show must go on, baby. This is a good release for us. And I'm sure doing these interviews has helped me get better. I don't know the science behind it. I don't know anything. I'm probably talking out of my ass, but it's good vibes. And I think that there's something to that.
Yeah. And it's nerdery for the soul, right? It's like Chicken Soup for the Soul. Remember that book when we were kids? It's nerdery for the soul. That was a series.
Someone made bank off that whole thing.
If only, maybe we should start putting out nerdery for the soul. I guess we do weekly with the podcast. We just don't make the bank that author did. But yeah, it's been an exciting week, a busy week, and unfortunately you got sick during it, but we did bang both interviews out. Next week will be the one that Anthony teased a little bit. But this week I want to ask you a prompt, and then we'll get into our conversation with Jackson of Silly Goose. It's becoming cooler. It hasn't quite gotten to the cold weather yet. Do your music listening habits change when the weather changes?
Oh, wow. I think they must. And I don't think it's intentional. I think it's just maybe the ingredients around me. I mean, let's be real. In the Northeast, in the peak of winter, it gets dark at 4:30 p.m.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm probably not putting on Newfound Glory. I'm probably
the windows aren't down. You're not.
I'm probably putting on
it's all downhill from here.
I'm probably putting on I don't know, the First Citizen EP, Young States. I associate in my head that album with just being alone. Going on a walk or something like that. My short answer is I think it does. I have the perfect cold weather record.
Yeah. All right.
The Bon Iver Blood Bank EP.
Ooh, that's a great call.
That reminds me, and I think there's reference to snow in Blood Bank. I have to look at the lyrics, but to me, that has always been a cold weather album.
If Nate were here, he would say Bon Iver, but you're right. Yes. that Bon Iver, really any Bon Iver kind of fits that
Agreed.
weather. Yeah. I think mine does too. I definitely lean a little more quieter, a person and a guitar, acoustic-y type stuff. There's a Noah Gunderson record from a few years back that I love this time of year. Carry the Ghost, I think. I have to look it up. And, just stuff like that kind of fits the sun went down and it's 5 o'clock. I got some time to fill, but I can't really do anything outside. Let's just throw on a record and vibe out to that until it's time to go to bed, or edit podcast stuff. But you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, and I don't know about for you. I think it does just come naturally. I'm not putting on Iration radio in the winter. That's like a backyard barbecue.
Awesome. Right.
Yeah. And that makes me think how growing up, it's no accident that Newfound Glory releases would always come out in the summer. That was intentional, I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of releases, I know a lot of them would plan around the holidays and stuff, but it makes you wonder if they would have been better off in the summer, depending on the music.
Yeah. Well, and it always, I kind of love as the calendar turns to September, because we start to get the records that fit fall and winter. and I like those records for different reasons. But yeah, it's stuff that is going to give you just a different vibe. So we're into that season now. But this record, Silly Goose, the EP, Bad Behavior, that came out a couple of weeks, just a little over a week ago now that we're talking, it is the opposite of that. It is hanging on to the last bit of summer. It's rolling the windows down and having a blast and yelling stuff at the top of your lungs. So I'm excited that we get to talk to Jackson today.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. We probably got tipped off to them, I don't know, a year and a half ago. Yeah. I mean, they've been all over the internet with their pop-up shows, and that's energy that, while like I can't at 40, I'm jealous. I'm trying to think of the angle here. Like, I need that in my life. It's not going to happen with me. Like, I'm not going to, I probably wouldn't go to a show, but seeing that, it's like this youthful throwback of, a basement show or just popping up. And if you're not familiar, do a web search, Silly Goose, guerrilla shows or pop-up shows, gas station, Subway, whatever it is, restaurant. If you're new to them, go check it out. If you're not new, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm envious because there's a youthful element there and just willing to kind of risk it all, really. Yeah.
You'd go to one. If there was one in downtown Portland and you heard about it and you liked the band, you'd go to it.
Yeah, I know I would. It's more of like, if I was in a band at 40, I wouldn't dare to do that. And I'm jealous of that energy.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Right. You've got some stuff that you'd be worried about not being home because you're in jail. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. But this is a fun convo. Silly Goose is a cool band, and a lot of fun stuff coming from them, going on tour with UDTX and Mugshot and Soulkeeper. And then, if it's been announced, I'm dragging this out because I'm not sure it's going to be up yet, so maybe it won't be. But they have other touring plans as well. That's coming down the pike. So maybe that's been announced, maybe it hasn't. Keep an eye out for that if it hasn't.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be Silly Goose. I told Jackson in this conversation, like, their name aligns with their sound, aligns with their optics, aligns with their live show. And, they got Blue Grape music behind them now. It'll be interesting to see how far they take this and where they take this, because they're on top of it, man. And the new EP is awesome. My favorite track is probably King of the Hill, but it's 16 minutes long. Go listen to it if you haven't listened to it.
Yep, put it on, roll the windows down if it's still warm where you are, and vibe out. Have some fun. All right, let's get into it. Our conversation with Jackson of Silly Goose.
Jackson from the Silly Goose in the house. Jackson, thanks for coming on with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, we knew this would be a fun one. When we were in touch with Shane, and we're like, yeah, we're definitely in. We're definitely in on the Silly Goose. We've been following you for probably a couple of years now, following the story of you guys, checking out the releases. And, with this EP coming up, we said, hey, now's a good time to chat with you.
For sure. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So we know you guys come from Atlanta, right?
Yeah. We're from Atlanta. We grew up there, and then we've been making music there ever since.
No, Atlanta is like a lot of hip hop, right? So you guys have some of those elements, but how does it feel to be probably the coolest rock band to come out of Atlanta since Seven Dust?
Thank you. I'm glad you think so. Although I think so too. But that's just cool to hear you say that, because I grew up listening to Seven Dust. But yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, we looked it up. Like, obviously we grew up on hip hop too, and I mean everyone is from Atlanta, but we looked for Atlanta like guitar music, and there's not a lot. Like, I think John Mayer is from Atlanta, and there's a few others.
But Mastodon, John Mayer, Black Crowes, that all like claim Atlanta. So
yeah, it's like it's Seven Dust, Mastodon, and like after like 2000, then it's like Attila, and then like that's it. Unless I'm forgetting anybody, but that's like it.
Yeah, not a lot.
I think Foundation's from Atlanta area. So there's not a lot, which is surprising given the population.
Right.
So from Atlanta, what's popping in Atlanta that leads to Silly Goose? Because I think you guys formed 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah. So we started like around COVID. Me and our drummer Alan. And to be honest, in terms of like what's going on around Atlanta that led to the band, I can't say much. Atlanta has like a really big rap scene. And like I feel like we've never, although there is rapping in our music, I feel like we're definitely like a hard rock band. So I just kind of like grew up listening to Limp Bizkit and like listening to new metal, and like I discovered that all when I was like a teenager, or even before that. So that's kind of what led to the band. There wasn't much like in Atlanta. We've always kind of been the outlier in Atlanta, which we're proud of, and is awesome.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was just kind of growing up with that music and discovering it as a kid that led to it.
Yeah, and I mean, new metal obviously had a moment, or is having a moment coming out of the pandemic, and is big again. It's the stuff that we grew up with, right? Anthony and I are both right around 40. Listened to the Limp Bizkit stuff as it happened, the Korn stuff as it happened. So to hear you guys do it in a different way, but in a way that we're like, man, this is something we absolutely would have been bumping, sophomore year of high school, junior year of high school in the cars, 2001. You know what I mean? Like it fits in with that, but also has a kind of a fresh spin on it. So we're all in.
Thank you.
What was the first Silly Goose practice like? Did you guys knew you wanted to like have a sound in mind, or?
The first practice. Well, so that's like it's kind of tough because me and our drummer Alan started the band probably like we were in another band before, and then it just kind of morphed into this one. But him and I started playing like 7 years ago, and when he first came over to my house, like he was like I was probably like a sophomore in high school, and maybe he was in 7th grade or something.
Oh wow, really?
And
young.
he showed up, and it was dark outside. And I thought his dad was the drummer. I didn't. Alan was very short at the time, and I didn't notice he was there.
Have you told him this? Have you told him this before?
Yes, he knows this. He knows this. But so the first practice for the first few months, Alan didn't talk much, and then we had like a completely different lineup. So yeah, I guess you could say we've come a long way.
Was the goal to sound the way you guys do? I mean, obviously there's some stuff that's going to be fleshed out and some practicing and figuring out exactly what you're going to do. But did you want to sound be kind of rap rock, be in that new metal vein right from the jump?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I knew that whatever we did, like I wanted it to be heavy, and like I'd say so because I feel like rapping comes to me much easier than singing does, and like I've worked on it, or I've been working on it for like a long time now, and a lot of the new songs do have singing in them, but right off the bat what like naturally came to me was like rapping and screaming, and then like that with like heavy guitar is kind of new metal already.
Who else are you pulling from, like inspirationally or like musically? Because I saw on your website you're wearing a Pennywise shirt, so it tells me you're at least into punk and stuff. So what else are you pulling from?
My music taste is like all over the place. I like a lot of new metal, as we said, but then I also like a lot of like alternative rock, I guess you'd say, or like dad rock is what it might be called.
Our stuff, yeah.
I like rap. I like rap. I'm selective about the rap I like, though. I don't like a lot of new rap. I like older stuff. There's this one guy who's newer called like Tara Reid, and I like him, but it's still kind of like a 90s vibe. So pretty much like anything late 90s, regardless of the genre. Like I like Ice Cube. Yeah, just all sorts of different stuff, but primarily like new metal, alternative rock, and rap.
So yeah, pulling from a bunch of different places. Yeah, that's you just kind of described us to a T as a podcast, because we pull from guests from the hardcore scene, from rap, from alternative rock, from 90s rock, from dad rock. Like we've had everybody. So you know, punk. So we fit in perfectly with us, which is fun. How did you guys end up with the name Silly Goose? Like tell our listeners how that started, how that ended up.
So there's actually a debate. We're not very like amongst the members, we're not exactly sure how we came up with it, but somebody said it, and then we were just like, oh, that's so stupid, but also kind of good, because like no one's gonna forget that name.
Totally.
And then it just kind of stuck.
I'm surprised it hadn't been taken.
Same.
Me too.
You know?
It's perfect.
It's
Especially
perfect
for what you do.
It's perfect for you guys. Yeah. So we want to get into the EP here in a minute, but I want to get into like some of the live show stuff. So you are playing, like, you know, your buddy's dad drops them off, you're playing practice. How about like the first shows? Are you just playing like locally and battle the band stuff? Or, I mean, because when you're in high school, you're super limited.
Yeah, so that's pretty much exactly what it was. We've played like a lot of shows, like to empty rooms to nobody, and that's what it was in high school. In high school, it was like begging the kids at school to come to the show, who a lot of them didn't want to come, or like didn't. We were the weird kids in high school that nobody quite understood. So there was that going on. We would do like house shows and stuff, and then maybe like 10 people would show up or something incredibly humbling. But we'd do that. We'd play at this bar in Atlanta called Smith's Old Bar. And I remember they used to give us like, okay, you're going to play Wednesday night at 1 a.m. and it's 21 and up. And then, and you have to bring people.
And you need a chaperone. You need your parents to show up.
Yeah, right.
Oh, and tickets are like $25. So good luck.
Was this on a school night?
Yeah, Wednesday, you said, right?
Yeah. Like, there was one in particular that was on like a Wednesday or Thursday night, and we just played to like us and the sound guy. Like the other band had left too. So
they were like, screw these Silly Goose boys.
That was the vibe for a long time.
Yeah, the sound guy, you guys, and all the people from the last band left, and their friends. So they didn't even stick around and check you guys out. Like, who are these kids? What are they doing up there? So obviously, you graduate from that to the genius idea of getting out in front of people in public spaces. I know that's kind of how we first found out about you. I think a lot of people found out about you that way, seeing kind of the viral videos. And one day you're not doing that, and the next day you are doing it. How do you come up with that idea?
It was like, and yeah, that is kind of what led to it for sure. It was an idea that I had for like a long time, and it was just a matter of like figuring out how to do it and convincing the guys that it was a good idea. We started doing those shows because no one was at our real shows, and we wanted to reach more people and do something different. So we just started like showing up outside of other band shows, showing up outside of festivals. And then there was a lot of times that did not go successfully, but there's a few times that it's worked out, and then we kind of figured out how to do it better. One time in particular in like 2022, we played outside of Incarceration. It's one of Danny Wimmer's festivals, and then like he came outside himself to like shut us down. And then he like brought us into the festival the next day, and there was like a whole like story behind that. So that was like the first big good thing that happened to the band. And then from that, we got Louder Than Life that year. And then so there's been that, and then there's been viral videos, and then we followed Highly Suspects, and they recognized us, and they loved it. So there's been like a few big different moments with it. But it's kind of just the playing to nobody that led to that.
Well, and you have to, the idea is great, but if the music sucks, it doesn't really matter, right? Because then nobody's going to show up. So if you guys are making something that's interesting and you know, vibing with people, they're going to start to show up. And you just got to find a way to make them notice, and you guys did. So that's pretty cool.
Thank you.
So the new EP, Bad Behavior, comes out actually today. And Tony and I were talking, this is the first interview we've done where the band has a release the day of recording the interview. So at the time of recording, September 13th, Bad Behavior dropped today. It comes out on Blue Grape Music. How do you link up with them? I mean, was it just the hype from the Streets Heard It First, or?
I think so one of our producers that we work with, his name is Joey. His manager is like associated with Blue Grape. I'm not exactly what his role is, but I think he kind of loosely works for them. So my understanding is the word had passed through him to Blue Grape, and then like Dave Raff, the guy who owns the label, found out, and he flew out to our show in Atlanta. He flew out to our show in Nashville, and then he flew back out and bought us dinner. And we were like, all right, this guy's cool. So
this guy, he's interested, yeah.
Yeah. So because before that, we had got like 2023, we had gotten like 4 or 5 different label offers, but it was just like stupid offers, and like people trying to take advantage of us and stuff. So this was like he came out and like proved he was interested and was a real nice guy. And then he bought us all food, and then he sent us a good offer, and we were like, "Fuck yeah, let's do it."
Yeah, because Blue Grape's having a moment with Code Orange and Gel, and I was looking at the roster. It's like all stuff we like.
For sure, yeah, we've definitely got some cool label mates.
So yeah, the EP dropped today, out now. Obviously, this is going to come out probably a little over a week after it's been out. So how do you feel? We talked a couple of minutes before we started recording about you guys partying at Steak and Shake last night, but how are things going?
Good. I feel really good about it. The response, like, so far, I mean, it's only been out for like this morning, but the response so far has been awesome. Like, yeah, I'm really excited because we recorded these songs like last year, and maybe even toward the beginning of the year. It took way too long to like have these songs mixed and to come out, because like with this release, what we're trying to do is like level up from our previous record and be like, hey, we're not just like this band that plays out in the street, but like we're a real fucking band, and these songs are produced well. So we had like one guy mix it, and then like we didn't like the mixes, and then we had another guy mix it, and we didn't like the mixes. So it took way longer than we wanted it to for these songs to come out, but finally today is the day. And this guy Sam Guyana, who did Silverstein's most recent records and Neck Deep, he mixed like three of the songs on there, and he was like the dude we've been looking for. The songs awesome. Sound like great, and yeah, I'm just so happy.
I'll say it's noticeable. It's definitely a level up in production, and I think there's a swag to this album. We were talking, Tony and I were talking about, like, there's a swag. You guys have always had that swag, but I think with this one, it's like, it's polished, but it's edgy. It's got swag, but it's fun. You know, it's fun at the same time. It's tough to describe. So if you haven't heard it, go check it out. Pause this interview, go listen to it. It's 16 minutes. Come back, and you'll know exactly what we're talking about.
Thank you.
Was that the goal when you were writing the songs? Was let's make these the most kind of attitude filled, swaggy, like braggadocio, that type of stuff? Was that the goal?
Yeah, I mean, like the whole thing with our band and like judging like by our name and everything is like we're here to have fun. Like that's kind of like our thing. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We take what we do seriously, and like I think we're one of the hardest working bands out there. But like in terms of like anything else, like we're just here to have fun. And like so sometimes we'll make songs that are more serious. I mean, the last song on the EP is more of a serious song. But then like Bad Behavior and Tsunami, like we're just kind of having like a good time, and we want people to hear that, and we kind of want to strike people as we're here to have a good time, but we can do anything. And I feel like this EP like accurately represents that. And yeah, we're just having fun, and we want everybody to come have fun with us.
Yeah, I think everything aligns with you with the name, the sound, the fact that you guys are always having a good time. I mean, just go online, you can see it. Because if one of those isn't there, you know, if the record's all, you know, it's got an attitude and, you know, the name is what it is, but the live show stinks, like I think people will be out. So everything aligns with you guys.
Thank you.
And you can certainly hear, listening to, going back and forth with Anthony, we text each other while we're listening to it. We meet and get ready to talk to you, and I'm like, I hear everybody jumps to Limp Bizkit, but I hear like Reveille. Do you ever listen to Reveille growing up?
I have. I can't say I'm too familiar, but I do know a few songs.
Oh, man, yeah, no, I get Reveille vibes. Like it's a band that I've been wanting somebody to give me that sound again for years, and I feel like I get it with you guys, which is cool. I mean, your own way, obviously. It's not a knockoff. It's a I get the same vibe. I get the same feeling that I used to get listening to Reveille. So I'm happy that you guys there's somebody out there for me, man. Like I've been looking for this stuff for years, and Silly Goose is bringing that. So
thank you. So I'm gonna go listen to them after this. Now I am curious, like what about our music, or what do they do that like is similar? I'm curious.
Vocals
and like
vocals. Yeah,
there were a few of those songs that was the vibe, the brag vibe, the braggadocio vibe, the swagger. There's some swagger with Reveille that not a lot of. I mean, Limp Bizkit had it too, obviously, but not a lot of bands in the new metal scene are super happy. Like there was a lot of down. Right. This is not down. This is a positive and heavy at the same time, which doesn't always go together. But you guys are pulling it off. So
for sure, thank you.
Yeah, I think you'll dig them.
Yeah, I'm gonna check them out.
EP drops today. You guys got a pretty big tour coming up, right? Unity TX, Mugshot, Soulkeeper. We looked at the dates, pretty much full US, right? It kind of circles back and forth, really. But that kicks off late September. That's going to be exciting, right? You get new material, you got the stacked lineup, a lot of, a couple pure noise bands in there. You must be excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I first found out about Unity when I was in high school, and their song Ruckus, I used to like listen to it in my headphones while I was walking down the hallway, and I love listening to that song. And then I'd get frustrated that the song was over because it was only 50 seconds long. And then I saw them for the first time at the Masquerade in Atlanta opening for Silverstein. And I was just like blown away. And I was like, what do I need to do to like be like this band? And then now we're going on tour with them like a year later. It's crazy how life works sometimes. I'm really excited. And I'm excited to get back out on the road. And we've got that tour, and then we've got a headline tour actually that isn't announced yet. It's going to be announced in like a week, so I think it's okay for me to talk about it. But that's going to be like the Midwest and the markets that we don't hit with Unity.
Nice. So that's exciting. Going to hit. You're pretty much going to hit everywhere. Then you're going to go all over the country with Unity TX and Mugshot, and then hit everywhere you didn't get. So hey, if you didn't see your town, there's somewhere close. There's got to be. Get out there.
Jackson, I was thinking if I could be a fly on the wall if for a band, whether it's on tour, making music, just to see what it's like and just to have some fun, honestly, out of any like newish band, it might be you guys, just to see, like, it just feels like there's always fun, and there's definitely a youthful element to that, but I think it might be you guys. Just if I could be a fly on the wall in your, on tour with you guys, I bet it would be ridiculous.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely crazy, and we're all like in our early 20s. We're all like, I'm 23 and I'm the oldest, and then the youngest one of us is 20. So it's very there's a lot of wrestling in the van and yelling at each other, and but we all get along very well though. It's fun arguing. So it's a chaotic vibe, and we do crazy stuff, and we just love having a good time.
Well, it's certainly evident, and the new songs prove that too. So Bad Behavior's out. Go listen to it, like Anthony said earlier, and yeah, be excited to catch Silly Goose on tour. And I know we are excited. I think with Unity, there's a Boston date, but I mean, hey, if you come a little further north into New Hampshire or Maine, or we're from Maine, we definitely get to that Maine show. But we could certainly try to think about maybe that Boston show, Anthony, right?
Yeah, anything's on the table, right?
Always. Anywhere you're like super excited to play that you haven't played before?
We've never played Las Vegas before, so that'll be cool. And so I'm excited for that one. I'm excited to play in California. Any excuse to go back out west, I love. I think Texas is going to be great. Obviously, Atlanta is going to be great because that's our hometown. I'm just excited to get back out on the road.
Yeah, I'm jealous. I get too many responsibilities to get out on, family and job and stuff. But I would love to dial back the clock and just hit the road. But we'll be watching from a distance.
For sure. Thank you.
All right. So yeah, the record's out, the EP's out. Go check that. And Jackson, we really appreciate talking with you today, and excited for Silly Goose and the rest of 2024 and beyond.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on. I had a great time.
Awesome. Thanks, Jackson.
Thank you for listening to Podioslave. We are at Podioslave on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all over the places that you can find us on social media. Facebook, Podioslave Podcast. YouTube, Podioslave Podcast there. Email us at podioslavepodcast@gmail.com. And hey, if you want to become a supporter, click on the link at the bottom of the episode and give us $1, give us $5. It keeps the lights on, keeps us going. We really appreciate that stuff. Thank you.